Welcome to The Explainer. You ever see a brand that's huge in one country try to expand and just completely faceplant in another? Well, today we're opening up the playbook on global marketing. We're going to look at the high-stakes game of how brands go from being local heroes to absolute worldwide icons.
Right. You've heard this phrase a million times. It's basically the mantra of global marketing. But inside that simple little phrase is this massive, complex challenge that every single international company has to wrestle with. How do you keep your brand strong and consistent, but also, actually connect with people in dozens of totally unique local markets?
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's this constant balancing act. On one side, you've got this pressure to standardize everything. It's efficient, it creates economies of scale, you get one unified brand message. But on the other side, you have to adapt. You have to be relevant locally, respect cultural differences, and really understand what makes customers tick in each market. It's a fundamental tug of war.
Okay, let's really dive into this paradox. The very first step on any global journey is just understanding the world you're about to step into. And spoiler alert, it's about a lot more than just finding new customers.
So what are we actually talking about when we say global marketing? Look, it's not just about selling your stuff in a different country. It is a deep, strategic commitment. It means you are dedicating serious resources, we're talking money, people, and focus, to chase opportunities and fight off threats in places that are completely different from your home turf. It's a total shift in your company's DNA.
And you can see here, it's like a cosmic push and pull. You have these huge driving forces pushing you to go global. Market needs are converging. People in Tokyo and New York want pretty similar things in a smartphone. But at the same time, you have these powerful restraining forces holding you back. Things like management myopia. That's when leaders are just too short-sighted and focused on what works at home, can kill a global plan before it even gets off the ground.
So, confronted with all this complexity, where do you even start? Well, it turns out before you can make a plan for the world, you have to decide how your company sees the world. It all comes down to your internal mindset. And this is where the EPRG framework comes in, which is super interesting. It basically sorts a company's global philosophy into one of four boxes. On one end, you've got the ethnocentric view, which is basically, our way is the best way and everyone else should just adopt it. Then there's the polycentric view, the total opposite, where you believe every country is so unique you need a completely different strategy for each one. But the sweet spot, the goal for most modern companies, is to be geocentric, to see the whole world as one market, but be smart enough to make local tweaks where they matter most.
All right, so you've picked your mindset. Now it's time to do some real reconnaissance. You can't operate on assumptions. You got to get out there and draw a detailed, accurate map of the global terrain you're about to enter.
And believe me, that map has a lot of layers. You've got to scan the economic environment. Are you dealing with a developed nation or one of the emerging BRICS powerhouses? You have to understand the trade rules, the political risks, the legal system, and maybe the most important and trickiest of all, the social and cultural environment.
Which brings us to what is without a doubt the single biggest trap in global business, the self-reference criterion, or SRC. It's that unconscious little voice in our head that assumes our way of seeing the world is the only way. It's the bias that makes us think, hey, everyone loves us at home, so they'll definitely love it there. I'm telling you, this one mistake is the #1 cause of massive international blunders.
And here is just a perfect and kind of painful example of that in action. This is a real story. A company saw a need for convenience, right? But they were so blinded by their own cultural lens that they completely missed a much bigger truth. In that market, the act of sharing a meal was way more important than convenience. That one cultural blind spot tanked the entire launch. Happens all the time.
So to avoid those blunders, you have to understand deep cultural codes, like this one. Are you dealing with a low-context culture, like the US or Germany, where people are direct, they say what they mean? Or are you in a high-context culture, like Japan, where so much of the meaning is unspoken? It's in the relationships, the status, the nonverbal cues. Getting this wrong can absolutely destroy a negotiation or an ad campaign.
Okay, so you've done your homework, you get the cultural landscape, now things get really practical. You know where you want to go. The next big question is, how exactly do you plant your flag?
And there's no single right answer here. Think of it like climbing a ladder. You can start on the bottom rung with simple exporting. It's super low risk, but you also have almost no control. As you climb up, you commit more resources, but you gain more control. You move through licensing to joint ventures with a local partner, all the way to the top rung, a wholly owned subsidiary, where you call all the shots, but you also take on all the risk.
And once you're there, who are you actually selling to? The game is changed.
It's not about targeting Germany or Brazil anymore. The smartest companies now look for global segments that cut across borders. You could target the global teen segment, kids who listen to the same music and follow the same TikTok trends, or the global elite, who want the same luxury goods whether they're in Shanghai or London.
All right, you're in the market. You know who your customer is. Now it's time to open up the toolkit. We're talking about the famous 4 Ps of marketing, but this time they're on a global stage.
For every single new market, you've got to ask these 4 questions all over again, and the answers get way more complicated. For your product, do you sell the same thing everywhere, or do you adapt it? For price, how do you set a price that makes sense in a country with a high income and one with a low income? For place, how do you physically get your product to people? And for promotion, how do you tell your story in a way that actually connects?
And this product question is a perfect example of a major strategic crossroads. You could go with an extension strategy. Think of a high-end luxury watch. Its appeal is its universal quality, so you sell the exact same one everywhere. Or you use an adaptation strategy, like McDonald's. The golden arches are the same, but in India, you can get a McSpicy paneer burger, something created specifically for local tastes. Neither is wrong, but it's a choice you have to make.
And speaking of complexity, your pricing strategy can create all kinds of new headaches. Let's say you price a camera much cheaper in country A than in country B. Suddenly you risk creating a gray market. That's when enterprising people buy your genuine products in the cheap country and then sell them in the expensive one, undercutting your official partners. It can cause absolute chaos for your distribution network. So, all of this, it leads to a really important realization. Going global isn't a one-and-done project. It's not a campaign you launch and then forget about. It is a constant, ongoing quest to lead, to compete, and to win. You gotta play the long game. So how do the leaders stay on top? They use powerful tools to constantly scan the competitive landscape. A classic is Porter's 5 Forces. This isn't just some academic model. It's like a strategic radar for your business. It forces you to look at every angle of the fight: threats from new companies, the power of your customers and suppliers, the risk of substitute products. It gives you a 360-degree view of the battlefield. And beyond all the strategy and the analytics, there's a deeply human element to all this. Being a global company today comes with huge global responsibilities. People judge you not just on your profits, but on your ethics, on your impact on the planet, and how you treat the communities you operate in. Your corporate social responsibility, it's basically your license to operate in the modern world. Which brings us to our final thought. We've just walked through the global playbook, the frameworks, the strategies, all the stuff that's absolutely essential to get right. But here's the thing. In a world that is changing faster than ever, the true masters of this game know that the playbook is just a guide. It's not gospel. And they know exactly when it's time to rip out a page and write a completely new chapter.